Welcome back here with Money that comes to you from Bengaluru. Our two experts, Lovaii, Navlakhi and Rakesh, Rawal, have been doling out advice, and we have Mr. Chandrasekhar and Mr. Khandwala, who've been actually very eager investors and eager to know a lot more, I'm sure. But one question that's been troubling me, and Lovaii, how often have we actually dealt with this? People invest when you tell them to invest, and when you tell them to sell or get out of it, they don't. How does one actually keep emotions out of investment?
Yeah, I think that's probably the toughest part. I mean, we keep telling people that you need an advisor if you do not understand finance, you don't have the time, and some people have the time and understand finance. But I think third, very important, is how do you keep emotions out? And the way I see it is that if you're a doctor and you're dealing with gangrene in your left thumb, you want to cut it off, otherwise it will spread, and that's very difficult to do if you've made the investment yourself. I think the biggest problem possibly is that investors don't spend enough time selecting their advisor. So which means that maybe talk to other sort of investors, get references, talk to the advisor, meet them 2 or 3 times before they decide to start. But I think once they've decided, it pretty much should be a sort of a high trust sort of game, because otherwise there are 2 human beings at the end of that conversation, and if you really push me hard and say no, I think that Greece will have so and so impact, so you should do XYZ action, and I don't believe in it, finally for that investor I shouldn't get bulldozed into taking that action and making it much worse for the investor. So I think that's probably the toughest thing to do, managing emotions.
And I don't think Greece has been discussed in any other show as much as it has on money. But Mr. Rawal, is that a problem that you also face? I mean, how much hand-holding do you think a client really needs? And at what point do you think a client might get disappointed and say that, I was fine, I was doing well on my own, why do I need a financial planner if he's not going to be holding my hand every other day?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, it's a combined effort of the investor and the advisor that leads to whatever results it leads to, whether they're good or whether they're bad. And I think the responsibility lies with both of them together, right? And the advisor, in my opinion, cannot just be an information supplier. He has to have the ability to create conviction on the other side. See, it's the action that will lead to results. Otherwise, you'll make that statement, I told you so. That's never helped anybody. If my father had bought that house in Basant Vihar, I would be a multimillionaire. It really doesn't help. No, he did. He had 50,000 rupees, and that is what is costing them. The point I'm making is that we as advisors need to take responsibility of putting passion behind our advice and making sure that the action is taken by the individual. Now, and that's something that I call no fear advisory. Many a times I hear that, hey, let's not give this advice to that gentleman, he won't take it. That's not relevant. What is relevant is, what's your belief? What do you think is right for the individual? You bring that on hard. Then it's up to the person to take a call, whether he wishes to take that call, doesn't wish to take the call. Your job is to bring it hard. And then if you do that, chances are that more and more decisions that you take will be on the basis of sound logic and less by emotion.
That's really the hallmark of a good planner, which is they tell you not what you want to hear, but what you should hear.
Absolutely.
And
I add one small point to this, which is that at the end of the day, I think most of the people, let's assume, are reasonably rational, logical, intelligent people. So, with a certain risk profile. So what, at least say in my case, I would look for, even in normal working life, right? So when a guy comes to me and says, give me more money, I need to add 4 more people, or I want to invest in this plan, I have a tendency to first push back. Why? I'm just testing to see how it is the conviction of this person. Is he convinced to come back 3 times and ask me? If he himself is not convinced, I will not give him anything. Right? I have an instinctively follow that even with my advisor. I sometimes push back and test, and I found the good ones will tell you the same thing regardless of whether you're pushing, not pushing. And I already have a certain sense And if that overlays on that conviction, because I'm testing actually the conviction of that person, which is based on logic. It can't just be conviction that, okay, markets are going up. I won't buy that. I'm intelligent enough to figure that out. But there is a conviction which says, okay, I think we are in good hands or good shape because of X, Y, Z. And I say, you know what? There's logic, there's conviction. I'm okay. I can now live with this.
No, but there is another problem that is faced by investors, I think, that several product marketeers pose themselves as advisors. And a lot of people get into that and they buy a product without really knowing the overall situation. I mean, they don't care. They just want to sell. And everything looks very rosy. But then whether it really fits into your goals, into your thing, that is left for you to judge and decide. And I think that is a major pitfall.
Alright, so it's been lovely. We've actually discussed a whole host of issues, and I hope that all the people who are watching at home are actually going to benefit in some small way from everything that we've discussed so far. Thank you so much for being a part of our show and for actually taking the time out to be here. And thank you so much, experts, for actually advising not just our two investors here, but also the host of people who are going to be watching this. Thanks very much for your time and effort as well. Alright, with that, we'll wrap up on Money, Money, Money. But do stay tuned. There's lots coming up on CNBC TV 18. And as always, we'll see you again next week. Stay tuned.